Go.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Jorge Torres Almazan, and we have a very special session today. Special because of several reasons. One of them is that you are here with us. The other one is that TESOL Tampico Talks is live on the Rilo Mexico and Central America Facebook. Another one is that in a way we are celebrating the 60th anniversary of Forum. And also we have today our special guest, Tom Glass, who is the editor of this magazine. Let me introduce Tom and then we will start talking about this, okay? Tom Glass is editor-in-chief of English Teaching Forum, a quarterly journal published by the US Department of State. He has worked on Forum for 13 years and has been editor-in-chief since 2016. He holds a Ph.D. in teaching English as a second language from Purdue University and has more than 20 years experience teaching English as a foreign or second language, much of it on the university level in Thailand, where he was also a teacher trainer for pre-service teachers. In addition to teaching and editing, he has worked as a sports writer and he enjoys writing fiction. He currently lives in Bangkok with his wife and son. Please welcome Tom Glass. Tom, welcome to our session today.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to be here. Just letting everybody know that as you said, I'm coming to you from Bangkok, so it's early morning here. But I'm glad to be with you. I guess before we start, I'll just say a few words about Forum. As you heard, English Teaching Forum is celebrating its 60th anniversary, so that's 60 years of publishing ideas for teachers around the world. And I think that's the most important thing to know about Forum is that the purpose of Forum is to give teachers a chance to share their teaching ideas with other teachers. We don't really publish research or research reports, but we publish articles that give teaching ideas, things that teachers can do with their students to help them learn English. And Forum, it comes out 4 times a year, and it is peer reviewed. And we'll talk more about Forum, but I will keep mentioning that you can find Forum articles on the American English website. They are free. We have every article all the way back to 2001. So I will keep mentioning American English .state.gov as the website where you can find Forum and Forum articles.
Thank you, Tom. Tom, is there any kind of events you are having to celebrate? I mean, this may be one of them.
This is one of them, yes. Yes, I have done a few, like Zoom sessions and a few sessions, interviews like this to help celebrate. At the TESOL International Conference this year, which was held in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and also held virtually, I think we had 3 separate sessions related to Forum. We had a series of webinars earlier this year, and every webinar was hosted by someone who had written an article for Forum. And excuse me, on our website, we have some special materials related to the anniversary. Various Relo offices around the world, I know, are sponsoring events to promote Forum and let people know more about Forum and the anniversary.
Thank you, Tom. Well, Tom, most of our audience, I guess, are teachers. So, and we want to know, like, more about Forum and more about publishing. So where or how can a teacher, a normal classroom teacher, can start when we want to publish for the first time? What will be your answer to this, Tom?
Okay, so that's a really good question, and I think a lot of people are interested that, well, 2 things. If somebody has an idea or an article they are preparing, I think one important thing is to read the journal where they would like to publish, to become familiar with that journal, what kind of articles they publish, what is the style of writing, and then the teacher can adjust or adapt their article to match the style of that journal. So I think that's a really important thing, because sometimes we get submissions that I can see that the person who sent the submission isn't really familiar with English teaching forum. So that's one thing. The other thing that I might suggest is that sometimes for the first time you're trying to publish, it might be easier or nicer to begin with a local journal or a regional journal rather than an international journal, just so that people can get the experience and find out what it's like to submit and to review and to publish in that way. So those are the two things that I would suggest. Be familiar with the journal and think about either local or regional journals along with more well-known international journals.
Thank you, Tom. Well, talking about first-time publishing, Tom, can you tell us about your own experience when you submitted for the first time? What was the process like? What do you remember about that?
Well, it was a long time ago, but sure. I can tell you a couple of things. One is that the first few times that I submitted something, I was not successful. And one thing that did not help me is I submitted the article and then I got a note or a letter back and said, sorry, we can't publish this. And of course I was disappointed. But the thing is, I didn't get any advice, or I didn't know exactly why they couldn't publish my article. And so one thing that I did is I followed my advice. At the time, I was at the University of Florida, and there was a local, I call it a magazine for University of Florida. And so I decided to submit something there to that magazine. And in that case, it was accepted and it got published. So that was the first time I got published. And so the thing that helped me was that instead of sending to like very famous national, international magazines, I sent it to a local magazine related to our university. And so that gave me the experience of getting published. And the other thing I'll say about that is that it helps if when you send an article, if you get some feedback, even if it's not accepted, if you don't get the article published, it's nice to get feedback to say, oh, we like this idea, but we can't publish it because of this reason. And then at least you feel better that you know that the editors read the article and considered your ideas. But anyway, so that's a long time ago. But the thing that helped me was sending my work to a smaller magazine and at least getting the experience to get started.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Well, before we continue, Tom, I just want to remind the audience that our friend Victor Arizabalo is moderating the chat for this session. So if they have questions, they can type the questions in there, and Victor will let us know about the questions. All right. Well, Tom, now you are the editor. So yes. What about your experience as editor with first-time authors? Do you remember any special one, or any situation?
I'm not sure if I remember like any special one, but I know that there are some that I've worked with, and just recently that it's been really, really nice, because they have been English teachers, and those teachers have been like very excited to have a chance to have their article published. And so they submitted their work, and then we didn't accept the work right away, but we asked those teachers to revise their work. And every one of them has said, oh, I'm very happy to revise. I'm so happy to have a chance to work on this more and hope to get it published. And so the thing that I really appreciated is that all of those first-time authors have been excited and enthusiastic and ready to adapt their articles so that it can fit forum and help our readers as much as possible. But I will say that all of those teachers, their articles had a good idea to begin with. So that's the main thing. We like working with first-time authors, but the article has to have a good idea at the center of the article, and then usually we can work and help the author revise based on that good idea.
And well, now that we are talking about this, what about a mentorship for authors? Because many times we want to publish, we want to start doing something, but we don't know where to start, and then we are rejected, and there is no guidance. Or what do we do?
Well, yeah, that's a little bit difficult. It's hard for us. We can't mentor, do a lot of mentoring with each author because we get a lot of submissions, and there's just too many for us to mentor each author. But as I said, if the article, every submission that we get, we will give feedback. We won't just say, no, we can't publish. We will give feedback and try to give some reasons, sometimes some advice for the author if we see some things that we feel we can help with. If we ask the author to revise, then that's more of a mentorship because we correspond, we have some back and forth, we make suggestions, and the author can come back with questions. So it begins usually with that, again, as I said, like a pretty strong teaching idea that it is at the base of the article. In terms of mentorship in general, we can't do it on an individual basis, but we have some advice on our website that gives suggestions for articles, at least for forum. So I think teachers can check that out, and maybe that will be helpful to at least get started.
Yes, because there is a question about that. Neftali Gutierrez is asking if there is a format or layout to write an article for forum.
Oh, a format or layout. Well, we get articles with different fonts, with some different layouts. Usually we like Times New Roman font, 12-point double space. But actually, we're not too particular about that. We do have, again, on our website, we have information about the length of the articles. And Forum has different types of articles. Regular articles can go up to 6,000 words. Shorter articles, we have a section of shorter articles called Teaching Techniques, where the maximum is 2,000 words. And those are just quick articles. Here's a quick teaching idea. And a lot of times the teaching techniques are easier to write. But the layout of the article on when you type it, as long as it's neat and we can read it, that's the most important thing.
Okay, there you go. That's the answer for Neftali Gutierrez. Thank you, Neftali, for the question.
I hope that's the answer. If it's not the answer they're looking for, they can ask again.
Okay, yeah. All right. Well, Tom, in some institutions, some universities, it may be mandatory to publish for teachers. So what type of article would you say we can consider a valid academic article? An essay, a book review, an activity, an anecdote? What would that be?
Okay. Well, in that case, I think the teacher should make sure or check with their university about what the what the standard is. I would say usually something like a book review is usually not considered enough. Usually it has to be an article, and I think usually it has to be at a peer-reviewed journal. English Teaching Forum is peer-reviewed, but I would say that a book review or an anecdote, something like that, usually is probably not enough to pass that standard. But I think teachers need to check with their university to make sure about that. But usually, one thing that is important is that the journal is peer reviewed.
Okay, thank you, Tom. And there is another question in here, Tom, by Pablo Maldonado. Pablo wants to know what is the difference between, it says, how are articles different from blog posts or editorials or essays?
Oh, well, definitely different from blog posts. Like I just said, for articles in an academic journal, I think the main difference is that the articles in an academic journal are peer reviewed. That, in other words, when we receive a submission, it's not only me who reviews it. There are other professionals, professional English language teaching professionals, who will read and review the article and decide whether we should publish it or not. With a blog post, anybody can write the post and publish it on the internet. And so that's different. There's nobody checking about the quality, about whether the ideas are valid, whether they're supported properly. So that is a huge difference. And to go to the previous question, a blog post would not be enough for a teacher to get a promotion or to get tenure or something like that. The main difference there is that it is peer reviewed. And there's maybe another part of that question, maybe I'm forgetting, but if there's something I missed in the question, let me know and I'll try to answer.
Yeah, yes, thank you, Tom. There is another question in here. I guess I know the answer, but I want them to hear from you, okay? This is from Josue Miguel Fuentes. He wants to know, well, this is the question. Does the Forum magazine has an ISBN or something like that?
Yes. Let me see if I have a copy. Well, there is. I have Forum right here. There's ISBN. If you have paper copy, the ISBN is it's called. So I don't even know if you can see it. Let's see if I can hold it up there at the bottom. I don't know if that is helpful. Let's move it over. So
yes, that's the ISSN, right? Because
ISSN.
This is not a book.
Yeah, right. So I don't know if that's helpful or not. I'll say again, Forum is available on the American English website. And actually, a lot of the information about publishing and submission guidelines, things like that, is available on the American English website. So if people have more questions like that, the website might be able to answer them.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Tom, going back to first-time authors, how often does Forum publish first-time authors?
Oh, well, pretty often. Almost every issue, we have at least one first-time author, and we encourage first-time authors, people who have not published before. We encourage them to submit their work. Again, even if their article is not accepted, they can still learn from the process of writing the article and submitting the article and getting feedback. But yes, I know in the last 3 or 4 issues. Every issue has had at least one first-time author from different places around the world. So it's something that we try to support, publishing first-time authors. I will say again, it depends on the teaching idea in the article. If the article has potential, I would say, then we are happy to work with authors, whether they are first-time authors, whether they have published many times before, or whether they are young, new teachers, or whether they have been teaching for many years. We are happy to work with them. But again, I want to say the article has to have potential, and then we can go through that process.
Yes, the following question, I guess you already answered this question, because it's about when, the first-time authors lose interest because their articles are rejected. You mentioned before that we must try again or go to a local publisher, journal.
Yeah, I think people should understand that it's very, very common, especially when they're beginning. It's very common to have their article, turned down, or the journal will say, no, we can't publish this. It's very disappointing for the author, but it's a very common situation. As I mentioned, it happened to me several times. Even for people who have published many times, it still happens to them that their article is not accepted. So there are different things that people can do. One is to send the article to another journal. Another is to revise the article in some way and then send it to another journal. Another is to write a new article. And it's okay to send a new article to the same journal. That's fine. It's something that I think a lot of young authors have to learn is that being rejected, or I shouldn't say being rejected, but having the journal say no to your article, it's very common, and it's part of the learning process. I think of becoming published and learning what journals are looking for and how to adjust or adapt your writing and your article so that you have a better chance to have it accepted.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Well, Neftali Gutierrez is asking another question. She wants to know how she can get the magazine in paper. I guess this is through the Relo offices, maybe?
Yes, I think probably you might know a little bit more about that. I know that in different countries, the paper copies are sent by the embassy, and I'm not exactly sure what the process is in Mexico. I know that some embassies send the paper copies to libraries, for instance, or if there's an American corner, American space nearby, often they will have paper copies. So I know that every embassy does it a little bit differently. So I am afraid I can't answer that how it's done in Mexico for the paper copies.
Yes, I'm pretty sure they can contact Relo Mexico and Central America, and they can tell them about that, because I remember I got some from Relo, so I guess that's the place here in Mexico. Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, Tom, we mentioned before that sometimes they are thrown down. The articles are thrown down for first-time authors. And what would you say, for example, let's say if I want to submit again for the same journal, the same magazine, a different article, is that a good idea, or just give up and go to another option?
No, if it's a different article, then sure, you can submit that to the same article or to the same journal that said no to your previous article. Yeah, that's fine. We've had several authors who maybe they tried one time with one article, even tried a second time with a different article, and then maybe a third time with a third article. And then finally, they were successful. And one reason that happens is that each time they could learn a little bit more about what we were looking for, or maybe what was maybe missing from their first article. And so they could, when they wrote their second article or third article, they kept that in mind, kept our feedback in mind, and then they adjusted their writing, and they finally became successful. That has happened several times. So that's fine. Yes, it's a good idea, actually.
Okay, thank you. And well, Tom, what will be your, let's say, well, you have said many recommendations, many suggestions for first-time authors, but I have this question in here, and I want everyone to hear, and
Okay.
I want to know, what will be your number one advice? You have mentioned some, but what will be number one?
Well, number one, I think, is what I mentioned near the beginning, and that is to read some articles in the journal that you would like to submit your work to. And the reason is you become familiar with the writing style, you become familiar with the kinds of things that the journal publishes. And I should say the follow-up to that is then after you read some of those articles, you can adapt your own article or adjust your writing a little bit so that it will have a better chance of being published. But I think if people submit their work to a journal and they've never read any articles in that journal, they have a very, very low chance of being accepted. But they have a much better chance if they are familiar with that journal and have read some articles in the journal, and then they can feel like, oh yes, my article would fit in there, or nobody has written an article about my idea. And so it would have a better chance of being accepted. And so I think that's the main advice. Just become familiar with the style of the journal, and also become familiar with the topics that they have published already, to make sure that that journal has not published an article on your topic already.
Well, thank you, Tom. Well, we are going to go now to more questions from the audience, in case we have some more, because
Okay.
This is going to be like the wrap up. This is the time for you in the audience to come up with your questions. Please, if you have any more questions, let us know. We will wait in here a little bit for your questions, okay? Let's see if we have any other questions.
So while we're waiting, just remind everybody that they can find English Teaching Forum on the American English website. Every issue going back to 2001, so 21 years of English Teaching Forum are available on the American English website, and teachers can read the articles for free. They can download the articles for free. They can print the articles for free. I know a lot of teachers, when they meet in groups, they will choose an article in forum and then discuss the article among themselves. And that's a way to make use of the article and share ideas about the article. So I encourage all teachers to check out forum online. Again, it's free, and every issue has a lot of teaching ideas for teaching English, and the ideas can sometimes about teaching young learners, sometimes teaching in the university, sometimes teaching in secondary school, sometimes for speaking, sometimes for listening, for writing, for reading, for intercultural communication. So many topics, classroom management, assessment. If it's related to teaching, then it could be part of forum.
Yes. Well, there is one more question in here. This is from our moderator, Victor Arizabalo. He says, is there an index to check if the topic of my submission has been published before?
I don't think there's an index, but on the website, the American English website, there's a search function. And so most of the articles are tagged with keywords. So the author can try searches for keywords in the article or in the title, and then find out if those keywords have been part of any article published in forum. So the search function is we use that instead of the index online. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Tom. Well, as usual, this is like a classroom, right? When the teacher wants to hear questions from the students, nobody has questions. And then the day of the exam, they have all the questions. Well, if you in the audience have questions later, not right now, please send us the questions. We will send the questions to Tom, and I'm sure he can answer those questions. And also you can just type your questions in the comments of this video. And I guess, Tom, when you see the video again, you can maybe type the answers in there.
Okay, or you can let me know if there's something that I missed, and I'll be glad to try to answer the questions. But a lot of information about publishing in forum is contained in the website. So that's my advice. If somebody has a question just about publishing in forum, first check the website, the American English website, and they might be able to find the answer there.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. This is, no, I guess we have no more questions in here. Well, Tom, if there is any way the audience can contact you, or they can go to the website and find a mail in there?
Well, I think we still have a place on the website where people can ask questions, but if I can just tell you the email for forum, which is kind of easy, etforum, etforum @state.gov, and that's state, state.gov. So etforum @state.gov is the email for forum. And if people want to submit articles, they can submit their articles to that email. And also, if they have questions, they can send questions to that email address as well.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Tom. I guess we're coming to an end. We want to thank you for accepting our invitation, and also congratulate you, because you are the editor, and Forum is celebrating 60 years this year. That's a lot. I guess is the oldest journal I know, because I know some other journals and they have been there for 50 or 40 something years, but this is 60 years.
It's a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
More than we counted something like more than 3,500 articles that we have published. So that's a lot.
Yes, and you have been there since 2016. So you have been the editor for like 7 years.
Well, I've been editor since 2016, but I worked on Forum before that since 2009. So it's actually 13 years now that I have worked on Forum. So that's a long time also.
Yes, long time. Well, congratulations on that. And congratulations to Forum, the English Teaching Forum magazine. Tom, it has been My pleasure. Well, if you want to say something else.
Well, just thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And for everybody listening, I hope this was helpful. And if you have some teaching ideas, some ideas that you've created to help solve your challenges that you have in teaching, consider trying to write an article and submit to forum. Again, read a few articles in forum to become familiar, and also to get some teaching ideas from other teachers. But then, yes, give it a try. It's free. It doesn't cost anything to submit an article. It doesn't cost anything to publish. You shouldn't pay to have your work published. So it's free to submit your work. It's free to read forum. So we hope you use forum not only to help your teaching, but maybe to share some of your teaching ideas if you decide to write an article. And thank you again for having me.
Thank you very much, Tom. And again, congratulations to you on your years of service for Forum, and also to Forum for the 60th anniversary. Thank you very much, everyone in the audience. And good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Well, for Tom, good morning. Enjoy your Sunday, Tom, and thank you very much for being here with us.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.